All right. Do you want to start us off, Kathleen? A little bit, a quick introduction?
Sure. So if you don't know who we are and we're just bantering back and forth, my name is Kathleen Dent. I am co-owner of Inspired Classroom. I am a longtime educator, was in the trenches as an elementary teacher, 3rd through 6th for a long time, and then coordinated the gifted program in Hamilton, and then went to the dark side and became an administrator and curriculum director. And through my work in curriculum, I met Allie. And then when I retired, the Inspired Classroom had been started by Alter Enterprise here in Missoula. And they were going to not do it anymore. And so Allie and I decided to buy the company. And in the last 7 years, we have been creating distance learning curriculum content in partnership with people like MPG Ranch, the United States Institute of Peace, Montana World Affairs Council, Montana FWP, and museums and organizations who are informal educators but want to support you in the work that they do. We last year went into software development, and we have an interactive platform that has 4 dashboards: a teacher dashboard, a student dashboard, an evaluator dashboard to manage, and an administrative dashboard to manage scenario-based inquiry learning. So project-based learning, and we accompany that with live events where we go live to mountain lion trackers or biologists who are tracking eagle migration or artists at the museum, and bring them live into your classroom through Zoom and Polycom and those kinds of things. All of our content's free.
Yeah. I was gonna say, does it cost anything?
No, it doesn't. All of our content is free because our partners pay us to do the work and have a very strong passion to support educators, and know that budgets are tight. So most of the things that we do other than our training, our professional development, is free. And so what we'd love to offer you guys is we'd love to get you signed up on our newsletter, because we're going to be having some amazing things coming out, and it's pretty much for all grade bands. So and it's all standards based and good pedagogy. So that's us. Allie, sorry I talked too much. Go.
You're fine. I'll be quick. I'll quack too. I'm Allie Depew. Also started professional life as an educator, an art educator, so a little bit different trajectory than Kathleen. And then moved into working with some more non-traditional educators, places like the Missoula Art Museum, Science Learning Spectrum Discovery Center. I was awake for and got connected with Inspired Classroom almost 10 years ago at this point. And the first time somebody said, do you think you could teach using video conferencing equipment? My reaction was, what is video conferencing equipment? I'd never even heard of the stuff. But little did I know it would soon become an incredibly big part of my life, and something that I'm pretty passionate about delivering to other teachers and helping them engage and get connected and bring authentic learning experiences into their classroom.
Right. And so we've been at this for 7 years, and we kind of have laughed this year. Sorry, it's not really very funny what happened this year, but we've had people coming to us going, can you help us do this? And we're like, we've been trying to talk to you about it for 7 years, but silver lining, I guess, for us to that. So we want to share what we've learned through that 7 years. We want to be side by side with you this year and let you know that there are people out there who have been doing this. We partner with 2 teachers from Alaska. In Alaska, they've been doing distance learning for over 10 years. They've kind of got that dialed in, and we've grabbed 2 of those Alaskan educators to be on our board of providers. So we have developed some content with them and do trainings and stuff. So please reach out to us. I'm putting my email and Allie's email in the chat, and reach out to us about being on the newsletter, but reach out to us during the year because we're here to support you. All right, let's get going with tips and tricks. I am going to hopefully share my screen. And then I moved it so that it's, see how you do this. Oh my goodness. Everybody, okay, there we go. Everybody's seen that okay? And I will start, oh, come on. I love how your toolbar always gets where you don't want it to be. Hang on. Somebody said yesterday they love watching all the little technical glitches because it proves that nobody has this dialed in. And we always say, be like a digital kindergartner, just, you know, be crazy, ask for help, and you know, ask a lot of questions because none of us have it completely dialed in. So today we're talking about jump-starting your school year with a quick tips on virtual skills to enhance instruction. And Allie, I can't see my chat box right now, so if you want to just go ahead and put our emails in that, that'd be great.
Bet.
At any time during this, if you want to type questions in the chat box, or even just unmute your microphone, we will certainly entertain any questions or thoughts. Okay.
And for those of you on the live stream, there's a little button down at the bottom of the page that says, let's chat. You can ask me questions that way.
Great. Also, excuse me, handouts are both on our website and are in the Google folder for you conference participants. And a lot of the links to the resources that we're going to share are there. So there you go. So the first thing that I want to talk about is planning, because in my experience as an educator, the more deeply I planned, the more deep the learning was. And with this change to either a hybrid classroom or offsite students, the deep planning that you do to provide your content is has one more layer now. And so I heard from a lot of you yesterday about how much time you're putting in to planning what you're going to do. And so just from our experience of doing this for a while, and also from what we're hearing from our advisors, really nailing that planning time down. And if you're collaborating with a group or you're co-teaching virtually, spending the time on planning is so key. So thinking about what major topics, I've heard from folks about how only 80% of their students might have been engaged virtually, and so really defining those key learning objectives, those major topics that every student has to get wherever they are, and maybe slimming that curriculum down a little bit so that you're not trying to do as much content as you would if you were face-to-face, but really focusing on those nuggets that are going to be so important for the students to have to build that foundational knowledge for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So maybe reassessing your content a little bit if you've got that hybrid situation, or you've got offsite students or students who don't have access to technology as much, really getting those focus concepts down so that you know that they're getting the absolute golden nuggets. Thinking about taking breaks if you're virtually teaching. And so the stuff that we're talking about now is when you're virtually teaching, whether you're synchronously face-to-face with physical students and hybrid students, or if you're virtually face-to-face with offsite students. There have to be planned in break times, and thinking about how you're gonna have kids take breaks and then come back to you is important. Thinking about asking speakers to come in, because now if you're virtual, you can access other people too, to bring in content experts or, you know, guest speakers, that kind of thing. Think about that. What kind of work are you going to have students do? What we're talking about, and we talked about yesterday in our session, this should never be just a talking head for an hour or 2 hours. Some of you have 2-hour blocks. So how are you going to set up teamwork? How are you going to have kids do individual work? When are they off screen? And it's okay to have off screen time. If you have the capability to use breakout rooms as an extension, how are you going to do that? We partner with Logitech and Polycom. They are showing us some amazing hardware that if you're using breakout rooms and you've got virtual kids and face-to-face kids, maybe you set up 4 computers around, you've got students working with virtual and physical students together, and the students who are face-to-face in the classroom have a computer with headphones so that they can talk to each other and there's not that interference. Just those physical logistical issues you have to think when you're lesson planning. Allie, question.
No questions.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
And then what you're going to provide asynchronously to enhance that lesson? Are you going to, I know one of the presenters Wednesday said she recorded a 5-minute start to the day, and she went into her classroom, recorded 5 different morning messages with an activity to do, a 5-minute activity, and she took in 5 different outfits. And so she would change her shirt, but she was in her physical classroom because she wanted the kids to see her classroom. And then she changed her shirt, do her morning message, then change her shirt and do another one so that it looked like it was, and then she'd send one out a day. So thinking those kinds of things through. What materials are you going to need? How are you going to do assessment? Of course, that's always. How do you handle Q&A time? And then here's 2 I'm going to let my friend Allie talk about because this is kind of her passion area: unscheduled time and building relationships. Go, Allie.
Okay, so the unscheduled time, right? So being on camera, oh my goodness, you feel like you have got to be on. And I don't know, has anybody heard or experienced the term Zoom fatigue? I'm guessing probably.
Give us a reaction in the from your Zoom bar.
Yes. You can also go over to, if you click on participants, you'll see that there is a yes, no, go slower, go faster. You could click that. Oh yeah, people, you guys got it. Yes, yes. Oh my God, look at all these yeses popping up, Kathleen. This is awesome. So a couple no's, that's good to know. So Zoom fatigue, for those of you that haven't heard of Zoom fatigue, it's exhausting to teach over video conferencing, especially when you are new to it. And part of that is you're working really hard. One, to get those verbal cue or those nonverbal cues that in a face-to-face situation you'd pick up on automatically. One of the things Kathleen and I say very frequently, there's the delay. You have to learn to live and love the delay. You just got to embrace that. And so that adds to that component of it. But then the other part is that a lot of times we feel like since we're on camera, we have to be on. We have to be the Allie show, the Kathleen show. And if you think about what you're trying to do, and these kind of go hand in hand, that building relationships. So one, you really want to have a chance to get to know your students, and a chance for your students to get to know one another, to build that community in your classroom. And building in a little bit of unscheduled time where students can talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about. A football game they may or may not have watched, depending on whether or not football even exists in the fall. I don't know. And so you need to have a little bit of that, because if you think about when kids come into your classroom at the beginning of the day, or there's a passing period, or you're changing between, if you're an elementary school teacher and you're changing in between one topic to the next, there's always a few minutes of time where the kids get to just chat with one another. Building that in to the Zoom calls is kind of important, and it's important to let them have a little bit of time to lead the discussion. That doesn't have anything to do with the content. The building relationship part, like I said, that goes into it. But remember also, as you are planning your time, to build in the time for a quick game, a quick check-in with your class, things that are more personal. In fact, Kathleen, I'm wondering if we should do
Let's do it.
Quick relationship building something. Okay.
Woo-hoo!
What
Let's
did
do
you?
a scavenger hunt.
Okay, scavenger hunt. Here we go. What are we doing?
Okay. I want you to find something in the room that you're in that best expresses your favorite activity to do this summer. So stand up, look around. You've got 75 seconds. Go.
Awesome. And then Kathleen, will you unshare this so that we can see everybody's
You
responses?
bet.
Great.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Something I want to do this summer. Let's see.
No, I'm looking.
Oh,
I've got something.
I know. I've got it.
Me too.
I'm going to take off my virtual background too because I can't share
Cool.
with that. Wait. Okay, when you've got it, hold it up so we can see it. And you guys that don't have your cameras on.
Pizza. I'm telling you, seriously, like ordering out has been like the biggest excitement.
I work at a pizza place.
Oh
So
my gosh, you're Kendra. Ordering
I
for
am.
Friday night pizza.
yes, I work at
Again?
Friday Night Pizza, and it's amazing, and I love working there. So
Oh, I love it. Explore outdoors. I rode an e-bike to the top of Logan Pass, or going to the Sun Road this summer.
Oh my
So,
gosh, look at
it
all
was
these. This
so
is
fun.
so fun.
Look
Ooh,
at
horses.
that.
Playing in the sunshine.
Lots of mountains. Ooh, I see some
What is
music.
that? Oh, it's a baseball bat. I thought it was a didgeridoo, Brandon, but it's that's awesome. Oh my god. Oh yeah, life jackets. Been going out. I mean, I've been on the river a bunch. Knitting, crocheting, playing with your puppy dogs.
Okay, I want everybody to go to your reaction, then put a thumbs up on your thing to say, "Aren't we glad we live in Montana?" Woohoo!
Seriously, I love it. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and sorry, you guys on the stream, I'm sure you live in beautiful places too.
Absolutely. Oh my word. Oh gosh. Okay. So, there was one question that came in, and let's see, who was that from? Let me take a peek. Oh, it was from Sherry. One concern she has is with fourth grade teacher is where to start the kids. They are more likely than not at the beginning level for the main subjects such as math, ELA. Any idea how to catch them up in 1 year, or is it even possible? Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we can do right now to help with kids that are struggling and a little bit behind, but also we have to work with what we've got and the resources that we have. And a lot of that is going to depend on resources that your school is providing. Is there a reading specialist that can work with those kids in one-on-one Zoom sessions or in small group Zoom sessions? Or a math tutor? Like, those are definitely things that I would reach out to your administration to say, during the year we have these things normally, how do I access them in a virtual environment? And how do I get my kids set up with it so that it's not all on you? That would be my advice. Also, using breakout rooms to help with small group interactions is a really strong and powerful tool.
And I'm going to put my curriculum director hat on again and just say, distill. The kids didn't end the school year like they did. They're not going to be in the same place they usually are. There's going to be that lag, but let's distill it down to absolutely the most essential elements and get those nailed down.
Yeah.
And we've got to give ourselves permission to not think we've got to make a year and a half's progress in a year's time. Yeah.
And I think Lindsay's comment in the chat, just focusing on some of the social, emotional, and knowing that this has been a really traumatic period for
everyone.
Yes, it's big
and continues to be. Okay. Yeah. So in thinking about teaching virtually, you have to plan strategies for all students. Hybrid classrooms and offsite classrooms. Hybrid classrooms, that's when you're teaching face-to-face, physically and virtually, and then offsite is like it was this spring where everybody's spread to the winds. And I can remember when Allie and I first started this company and started doing this, we got some great advice from Bruce Wallace. Some of you may know him. He was a superintendent. and then went to VisionNet. And he said, if you're teaching virtually, you have to remember both groups of people. You've got to talk to both groups, the ones in the room and the ones virtually. One teacher had a strategy yesterday, and our collaborators from Alaska say this too, who've done this a long time. They project students up on the board, similar to what you're seeing in this picture. Those aren't students, they're adults, but so that the physical students can see the virtual students so that they're present. So figuring out the logistics of your classroom and how to use the technology that you have to bring students together, whether they're virtually or face-to-face, is important, but you need to teach to all of those students. So figuring out a way how to get questions from the virtual students, how to get questions from the physical students, and not just focus on one group. Off-site, using virtual tools like reaction emojis to get responses, things like we're doing right now, strategies for breakout rooms, round robin responses. We've heard some concerns this week from teachers about breakout rooms and how do you supervise those. We'll talk about that in just a minute, which is right now. One of the things we advocate, and also we learned this from our Alaskan collaborators, is you have to teach students how to use these tools. Why? Well, to take some of the weight off you all, but also this is a life skill. Yeah. Think of how many jobs are being done this way right now. If we don't start teaching our students how to use these technology tools appropriately, then we're not teaching them the skills they're going to need for their life. Job interviews, all kinds of jobs are being done virtually now, or at least partially virtually. So they need to understand how to be on camera, how to behave appropriately, and they need to understand how to use the tools. So one of the things that we advocate if you're using breakout rooms is, or not, either way, train your student moderators. Even little guys can learn how to do some of these things. They can learn how to help, ask questions. They can call on classmates and things like that. You can train them, if you're going to use breakout rooms, how to use them appropriately, what should be done, and how to get help if they need help in those breakout rooms. And you can jump between breakout rooms. Truthfully, when you've got a classroom full of kids and you're working in groups, you don't hear everything they do and you don't see everything they do. And so it's really not all that different. What we're saying, I guess, is think about the things you would normally do and translate those into the virtual space. So training kids on those skills and then putting the power in their hands. This little icon on our slideshow represents, there are resources for you in our handout on that. There's a list of student expectations. We have a video made about how to be a participant in an interactive distance learning event, and that you can show to your students. There's a teacher checklist for how to get ready for virtual calls, and we made that before this day and age, but the principles are the same. Anything else, Allie, on that?
Yeah, I'm just going to address something that's come up a bunch of times, like how do you do these breakout rooms? So as a participant, you don't have the power, only as a host. So when you start a Zoom meeting, you do have that capability. And in settings, you have to go down and you have to click breakout rooms on. And then
we're talking about Zoom only.
This is Zoom only. Then on more, there's down at the bottom, there's 3 dots that say more. You click that, it says breakout rooms. Once you click it, it's so self-explanatory. It says set up breakout rooms. How many do you want to set up? And you can pick your number, and then you can automatically assign participants or students, or you can individually put students into rooms.
Hey, Allie?
Yeah?
I have a really good idea right now.
What is it?
Let's do a breakout room.
Okay, let's go for it. I'll show you how it's done. What's the topic that we're going to
let's see. What is the one great idea that you have got to start your school year first day of school, whenever that may be. What's one idea that you're just for sure going to do? And let's share that.
I love it. And we're going to make this a quick one because we don't have a ton of time in this session.
Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute. And Google is working on a breakout room feature. I'm not sure if it's complete yet, but yes, they are working on it. So we're going to go ahead and do breakout rooms. I'm going to do quite a few breakout rooms just so that everybody gets a chance to really have a conversation. Okay. So there we go.
2 minutes, 2 minute conversation.
Okay. We're creating those rooms. On your marks, get set. Go ahead and go on in. They're all going. Everybody's fleeing. Hi, Megan, you're just joining us, and we just hopped into some breakout rooms. So I'm going to just assign you to a room, and it's a super quick conversation about what is your best idea to start the new year. And if you haven't gone to your breakout room, you could also we could just talk in this room too. That's completely appropriate as well. I will say too, for those, since this is recording this session, and for those that are on the live stream, that when you use a breakout room as the teacher or the host, you can join any of the breakout rooms you want. So you can click that join button, go in, check in on the students. And we have to start thinking about these tools and giving some of that responsibility to the students. I know that there are a lot of administrators out there that are terrified of students being alone in a breakout room. But when, as an educator, you have the ability to hop in, check on them, see what's happening, it's really important. If you think about the space of your classroom and allowing students to do group work and working in those breakout rooms together, then, you know, there's times where you're not going to hear every single thing that is being said by that student. Certainly there's age levels that we have to consider with this. It is more appropriate for some age levels than other age levels. But also as that teacher, you can use this for professional development, for collaboration. There's a ton of different ideas for how breakout rooms can be integrated into your school and into your classroom. All right, we're going to give everybody about 1 more minute before I pull them back from the breakout room session. So what I'm seeing on my screen is I see the breakout rooms and I see everybody's name that's in each of the breakout rooms. And then there's that little button next to it that says I can join that breakout room. And then I have a button at the bottom that says close all rooms. There's also a button where I can broadcast a message to everybody. So I could broadcast a message to everybody that says, make sure you are on task. Ooh, I like that, Jesse. That's a really great idea. What changed? Make a few statements. That's such a good idea. I want to play that game. That sounds awesome. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to now close the rooms, and it's going to give everybody a minute timer saying that rooms are going to close in 60 seconds. And here they come. Hi, Karen. I can't believe everyone's coming back.
I know. It's fun.
Did you see the message that I broadcasted?
I did. It was so rude, but make sure you're on task.
Make sure you're on task.
Oh, I didn't see that.
get a kick out of it.
How did you do that, Allie?
You know, at the bottom when you do breakout rooms, so while everybody was away, for those that were on the live stream and also for the recording, I narrated all the different steps and the features of it, so you can hear it from a host point of view. But at the very bottom, there is a little toggle button that says broadcast a message.
Oh, yeah.
Groups. Yep. So
Awesome.
I wanted to point out that Jessie Gray had a really fun idea, which was they were going to play a game called What Changed. And so a student would have their background, and then they would either move or rearrange objects behind them, and you'd have to guess what changed in their area. I thought that sounded like a ton of fun.
That sounds awesome. We're going to do that.
I know. Can't wait.
Next session. Okay, onward and upward so that we are mindful of our time. Folks, just to let you know, we're going to quit about 5 minutes early just because these are back-to-back sessions. There's no break in between, so that we can stop this room and start again. I guess we actually don't have to, Allie.
No, we're not gonna start at all. In fact, if you guys just want to stay in and chat and hear more of the same stuff, you're welcome to. You never know where it's gonna go. It is, Noelle, it is gonna be the same time. Or
yeah, it's just the same thing repeated. Sort of the same. So, are we gonna do this?
You know, let's pause on this. This one is in the handouts. So we have a couple of our inspired clips, and in the handouts, there's a link to a bunch of different videos that we've been working on and producing. For the sake of time.
Well, sorry.
Watch it.
I lost my cursor. So this is our slogan for you all. So some days even the most experienced feel like digital kindergartners. When that happens, gather friends, ask a lot of questions, get excited, and try new things. Instead of being, you know, it's easy to get frustrated and feel down about what we're doing, but you know, just hang in there and have fun with it as much as possible. Sorry, I'm losing my voice this morning because I've talked more than.
I'll talk. This one's quick. Practice. The most important thing is that you have got to practice this. This is not something that you should expect to go perfect. When you practice, I'm just going to mute everybody really quickly. We're getting some feedback. All right. Oh, maybe it's me that's having the feedback. Sorry. It's really important to practice. It's not going to go the way you anticipate it going the first time. And I want you to try to be flexible with it. If something isn't working exactly right, have a plan B. Try to figure out what is your back channel communication with your students, with other educators, so that in case if the internet goes down, you have a plan in place already. And then practice those things. And also, I want to share that it's so important for students to see the times when it doesn't go right. And it's important to involve them as part of the solution. Throw it back at them who has any suggestions from the student side. Because it's going to demonstrate problem solving, it's going to demonstrate critical thinking, it's going to demonstrate that not everything always goes exactly the way we want it to in the adult world. So those are the things, those are my very fast practice tips. There's a fun handout on all sorts of different ways that you can practice that is in the handouts section. Go ahead, Kathleen, and I will unmute you. All right, don't be afraid to try and fail. This goes along really with that practice thing. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And that, you know, right, it's tricky. We are gonna fail. Technology's gonna fail. Best laid plans of mice and men, when you have your presentation up, something's gonna happen, your computer's gonna go crazy, you're gonna lose your presentation. It's okay. Try new things. Try connecting with different classes. Try connecting with guest speakers. Do some class-to-class engagements. There's so many different things that you can do with distance learning. That's not just standing in front of the computer and talking. We have a whole list of those in your handouts. Give them a try. It's really fun. And I'm hoping what you'll discover is that this actually opens the world up to you in ways that you might not have been able to do only in the classroom. All right, what to use and when. Ooh, this is a big one. So this goes along with the idea of being flexible. There are a lot of different things that you can possibly use. I know that we have talked about in our other sessions a lot of tools and resources, and we have a resource spreadsheet that we're building in conjunction with educators. So there's links to it on our website. So please go ahead and add to it or take a look at the responses to gather some really good ideas. But one of the big things is when do I use a learning management system? When do I use my webcam and a web-based application? And when do I use a video conferencing system? And what are the best uses for each of those? And so understanding that you don't have to stick to just one. In fact, I know a lot of your districts are really excited about using one application or another. I would say, hey, if there's a problem, if the application goes down, what's my backup application? Don't be afraid to ask that. A lot of times they haven't thought of that. What do you mean a backup application? And so having a few things in place so that you can always participate and always connect is really important. Kathleen, is there anything that you want to add to this one?
I don't think so. I think one of the best things that, like we were just talking about in our breakout room, they got talking about Bitmoji, and and again, I guess I'm going to put on my curriculum director hat. There are a lot of, well, and also my business owner hat, because I'm seeing a lot of resources come out there. Frankly, we're trying to make money. I understand that. There's other companies that are trying to make money too. I would caution you to become a good critical consumer, because I can remember when we were rolling out the Common Core, and I was doing a lot of work with that, and I had school districts say, well, we've got it covered. We've got the Common Core implemented. And what they'd done is they bought a new reading series. It was the same reading series, but they happened to put a sticker on the front of it that said Common Core compliant. And they were selling a lot of textbooks that way. Be really critical consumers and ask yourself, is this really going to further those focused elements of the curriculum that students have to know and be able to do? Or is this just a cool distraction or a fun thing to use? There's a lot of fun things to use out there, but they may or may not make learning deeper and better. So be a really good critical consumer. And the other thing that Allie and I have done in the last 7 years is become very allergic to digital worksheets. So when you are buying licenses for things or subscribing to things, really think about the good pedagogy and the instructional practices that go along with it. Is this just a replacement for, running off a ditto? Oh, sorry, I aged myself there.
You have purple on your fingers?
Yeah, purple on your fingers. Or is this really an innovation that's going to that's going to enhance by teaching and elevate it? So really do some critical thinking, because you're going to get inundated. You already have gotten inundated with products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Oh, wait, I have the control. Oh, see, Excuse me. All right.
Yeah. So student expectations. This is a really big one. Setting those really good student expectations at the beginning of the year is something that I suspect all of you do in a normal year when you're face to face. It's just as important virtually. Students need to be, in fact, I would say it's even more important when you're in a virtual, because students have to be accountable for a lot of their own learning. And that takes practice, and we need to help them not only to set those expectations, but we need to help teach them how that works, and how you set up a quiet space, how you can use the technology, that you do come to class, you do show up. And when you set those expectations, it's pretty amazing what happens. Rob and Greg, our Alaska teachers that we talk about all the time, have a great story where they use distance learning a lot, and they have a lot of students that connect. And one of the stories that they talk about is how when their students in Alaska are traveling for sport events, right? So similar to Montana, right? There's some pretty intense bus rides. I think they even have to hop on planes occasionally to get to different sporting events. Well, their kids are so in the loop that they will connect on their smartphones into the classroom so they don't miss the classes. Talk about responsibility and being accountable for your own learning. It's pretty incredible once those expectations and those practices have been set, what the students will do, especially in a really engaging environment. Kathleen?
A couple of the videos I think that you have links to, and we've got other ones too. We didn't put everything in there. We have tapped students who do this virtually, and they talk about how to set up their quiet workspace at home, and or Linnea does, how to set up her quiet workspace at home, how to connect, how to take notes, what some of the best strategies are. So I think we included that one in the handout too. So, and that can be shown to students. Best practice and etiquette communication with the far side. If you're connecting with other, with other speakers and so forth. If you're asking someone to come into your classroom virtually, please treat them just like you would a guest speaker. Make sure that they have the connection information, be there for them. Don't just not show up. Just the normal etiquette that you would with speakers. I want to get to this because I do want to show one of the videos.
I like this video. I'm quite
yeah, and I think we've got plenty of time. So this is a video that Caleb made. Caleb has been our summer intern. He is a student at Columbia University in New York, but he lives here in Missoula. His dad's a high school teacher at Frenchtown, and so we said, okay, Caleb, you've been learning online. Help us out. Teach us some of the things to do. So here's some tips from Caleb.
The online environment is a struggle for many teachers. New students, new styles, and a new setting might throw a great teacher off their game. Students like me are accustomed to living in a world around cameras and technology. It seems to be a part of my day-to-day. Because of this, I and many other students are hyper aware of what the screen in front of us looks like. Since I'm a film student, I'd like to share with you some of the tips and tricks I've learned to help enhance the visual of your teaching experience. First, let's talk about angles. Don't put the camera too high or too low. If you choose to use a whiteboard or share something behind you, make sure your entire face is on the screen. Just seeing a portion of your face in the wall or ceiling is jarring. Place yourself in the middle of the screen, and this will give students an accurate view of you and help develop a better virtual relationship. The next thing to be aware of is your surroundings. Very little can ruin a great lesson, like a distraction in the background. Students will no longer pay attention to you, but instead, what's going on around you. Next, it's important to make sure you have proper lighting. Your students can't see you if you're teaching in a dark or a poorly lit room. Make sure your lighting is showing your entire wonderful face so all your students can get as excited for class online as they would be sitting right in front of you. Now, let's talk about proximity. Make sure you don't teach from too far away or too close. Finding the right distance will help with many aspects of online teaching, such as audio, lighting, and camera angles. Good audio is a big component of teaching online. Make sure you check your audio before you begin. Be aware of background noises around the camera. The one thing more distracting than something in your video is something with your audio. Each computer microphone is different, so some educators may choose to use an external microphone to clarify their audio. It's important to remember not to film outside. It may be a nice day, but it has a magnitude of audio and visual distractions, and it runs the risk of being too far from an internet source for effective teaching. Speaking of what's behind you, if you have a virtual background feature, make sure it works before using it, or it can become more distracting than not having it at all. Nothing ruins a lesson more than a ghostly image of yourself in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. Ultimately, the most important thing is to be aware of your camera. Know what your students are seeing and hearing, and correct it to make it all work in your favor. Practice and test several times before the actual class period. Virtual teaching can be a lot of fun for students when your camera and audio are executed correctly. Thank you.
I love him. He's awesome. Any comments or questions about that stuff?
Nope. I loved it.
Yeah, so those are samples of some of the videos that we've made to kind of get different perspectives on it. Allie, do you want to go ahead and take this
You
one?
bet. And Caleb really talked a lot about these, but
Yeah.
just practice and etiquette when speaking. Make sure your equipment is working. One thing that I really like, especially at the beginning of the year, is to get in the habit of introducing yourself. And this goes for you as the teacher, but also as students. Or when you're in a setting with somebody that's new. So if you have a guest speaker come in, make it a habit for your students when they start talking to say, "Hi, I'm Allie." First names only, so we don't have to worry about first and last names, privacy. "Hi, I'm Allie. My question for you is blah, 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 blah." Positioning, of course, you don't want to be hiding from your screen. I know some people are a little uncomfortable being on camera. Eventually, you're not even going to notice that there's a camera there. And always have very clear expectations for when you're delivering your content. Make sure that there's alternative ways for students to get that. So there's a written slide that might have what those expectations are, as well as auditory, and that'll help you with all sorts of different types of learners.
The other thing that we haven't talked about too, and as I guess I'll be the administrator in the room. If you have students who cannot be on camera, we had that conversation yesterday in the chat with somebody. There are students who can't be on camera. Make sure that you make accommodations for that. If they're in your classroom, seat them somewhere where they're not on camera but can still participate. If they're at home, then we've got other fish to fry and have to figure that out separately and individually, but they still need to be included in instruction. There are ways to come into video conferencing without cameras and with just so that you can at least hear the instruction. So just be mindful of those privacy concerns.
I have a technical question.
Mhm.
Hi, it's Bridget. In my class, at this time, I'm going to have some in the class and some watching on my computer at the same time, I guess. And I'm wondering if anyone knows, is there something like a microphone I could have that would pick up my voice a little better? Because I'm going to be away from the computer a little bit.
Allie, do you want to take that? Because I think
Oh my gosh, there are so many amazing solutions. And we work with a couple, we're really, really lucky. There's some great companies out there that have supported Inspired Classroom for a long time. Poly, which used to be Polycom, is one of them. And they were just sharing with us some of the solutions that they have that do exactly the same thing. Cameras that will track you as well. So as you walk around the room, you don't have to be stationary, standing in one spot. and microphones that will pick up things even when you have your face covered by your PPE. So I know it's, thinking about purchasing things is kind of crazy, but we also have money from the CARES Act. And so talking to your administration about how that money is being spent would be a really, really good thing. Kathleen.
We're working right now with those companies to get us a list of recommended equipment for different situations. We were just in a webinar with them, and they have, like, if you're a hybrid classroom, here's some things. If you're, if you're totally face-to-face, here's some things, but you need you need a microphone for the mask. If you're completely off-site, here's some things. So we will, as soon as this conference is over, we will spin that up as quick as we can and get you lists of recommendations. And they're going to be based on our partners like Poly, but there's other alternatives out there. But my goodness, that CARES money's out there. And buying hardware would be a good use for it.
I think it's one of the main purposes of that
Yeah.
funding source, actually.
We also work with a group who helps schools get funding. So if you have interest in that, they help with the CARES Act, but they also help with other grants like the Rust DLT grants and those kinds of things. And so we can put your administration in touch with those people too. They're amazing grant writers. That's how we got equipment. So if you want information on that, we can help with that.
Great, that'd be great. Thank you.
I think we've gone over that one. One thing that we always remind people to do is use those visual cues and facilitation skills. Turn and talk to each other, thumbs up, thumbs down, multiple choice by holding up fingers. Don't let the kids just sit there. Have them do stuff. Keep them moving, keep them responding to you. And we've already talked about be okay with the delay. And be okay with the delay of you not necessarily having to be talking all the time.
But it's also knowing that there is a pause and there is a slight delay when you're speaking. And so it's just part of the technology. We are asking this technology to do so much. And if we look at where this technology started 10 years ago and where we're at now, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. Like, it's amazing the leaps and bounds that this has made. And so we have to remember that we're asking this technology to do a whole lot. So we have just like a couple minutes. Are there any questions or things maybe that you wish you'd heard that we could put into the next session?
I have a question. This is Lindsay on like a lot of these techniques seem to be really good for live, like synchronous learning, but at least last spring, we were only allowed to do asynchronous. So like you don't get any feedback from students, which I think was one of the hardest things for me, unless they like email you, but you can't say, put your thumb up or like make a funny face or all these really good ideas that people are saying. So I don't know, some of the only things that I did was like, I would still pause in my videos to give think time or like tell the kids that they could pause the video while they work and then like press play when they're ready and they finished that part of the assignment or something. But do you guys have any other ideas for making it engaging when you're not actually there?
One thing I would say, Lindsay, and this is something that at some point we probably should get our friend Greg from Alaska in on, because he has tons of ideas, because they did that a lot. But one of the things that they did was use collaborative documents and use different colors to signify this is yellow is Allie, pink is Kathleen, green is Lindsay. If I type in this document together, we're responding together. And then when we all agree to change wording, it becomes blue or something like that. So using those tools, particularly in Google Classroom, where you can collaborate together, even if you don't see each other, I think is important to do. Anybody else have ideas for Lindsay? You can just unmute and let us know.
Lindsay, I have a question for you. Is it because of the privacy issues? Is that why your district doesn't want you to do synchronous learning?
No, it was more just for like mindfulness of families that might not have multiple computers and like a computer for each person, because if there's parents working from home and then like 4 kids in the house that all were at school at the same time, they wouldn't all be able to actually log in because they wouldn't have enough computers. So that might change this year with like more planning ahead. I'm not sure, but that was hard last year.
I used
guys.
Flipgrid. And so like if a student had a question on something, they would even make me a quick video. Miss Mika, I need help on number 7 of page blah, blah, blah. And then I could make a Flipgrid back to him. And so then they could view that in their own time, kind of a thing, and even like try to work the problem or a similar problem to show him. So that was a little bit, you know, more personal with the video messaging, but yeah, it's tough, and that we're gonna have to go to videos made ahead of time also, so.
Great, guys. We are at the end, so you're welcome to stay on. I want to thank everybody for attending this first session. We've got hopefully theater in the classroom next with Rosie Ayers from Spark here in Missoula, and then Jenny Bevel from the Missoula Art Museum is going to actually have you do some art. So fun. So fun for you guys to come to the conference and try this out. Thank you so much. We so appreciate it, and we will be in touch during the school year. We're here for you, and please reach out to us too.
And this is Daisy. I have a question.
Uh-oh, what, Daisy?
For some names, who is RJ?
I don't know. Also, guys, fill out your evaluation forms. And thank you, Blackfoot.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and to those folks that are just arriving, we're gonna restart in just a minute. So
Thank you.
Lindsay, that link